There are 206 bones in the human body. 206. Only one, let me restate that, only one out of 206 will regrow if surgically removed correctly. You guessed it, the rib. One. Now think about that. 205 other choices. Now how did Moses know that the one bone that he would actually say that God had taken from the man to make woman, how would he know that's the one bone that would be able to regrow itself? Now, you can look this up on any medical website that has to do with removing ribs. And I'll give you a little hint here. If you look up sites that show people that have scoliosis, they often remove one of the ribs, and then that somehow balances things out. Now, it's very clear. If surgically removed correctly, the rib can regenerate itself, regrow. Now, there's no other bone. If you remove an arm, if you remove, whatever bone you choose, it will not grow back. I mean, we know that. I mean, if you lose your arm, it's gone. There's no regeneration process that the body naturally does. The rib, however, that is different, if surgically removed correct. Genesis 2:21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And the man said, This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Bone marrow transplantation. I don't know if you're familiar with it. My brother's a bone marrow transplant specialist. I don't have a lot of knowledge in that area, but what I do know is that bone marrow can actually be infused back into your body. It can help regrow other organs and to regrow damaged organs. Yeah, like I say, you have to Google bone marrow transplant. But when you do that, you'll find there are 5 common donor sites. If you were going to get bone marrow from a subject, there are 5 donor spots. The cranium, or the skull, the sternum, the vertebrae in the back, the pelvis, and you guessed it, the rib. Now, there's also some evidence that some of the bigger bones, such as the leg bone and certain bones here, can also work too. But the biggest donor sites, and you can look this up on the internet, look up where does bone marrow transplants come from. And every place you find, I guarantee you, this baby will be there. There'll probably be about 4 or 5 donor areas, and one of them's the rib. So now, think about it. If you were going to take a donor site for bone marrow transplantation, would you want to mess with their skull, their sternum, their pelvis, their vertebrae, or what about this rib? Oh yeah, it also grows back. It regenerates. I think I'll choose that one. Now, let's look at what bone marrow transplantation can actually do. Now, if you look up bone marrow transplantation and stem cell transplantation, you will find there's not a whole lot of difference. The only difference is you're getting stem cells. Now, whether you get them from the bones or whether you get them from the blood, that's the 2 differences. But stem cells can actually regrow organs. They've actually shown that you can actually regrow. The Japanese have figured out how to regrow tiny livers. They call liver buds. There's people that are working on being able to eventually regrow a brain. Now, keep in mind that the person that caused a great sleep to come over Adam and remove the one bone out of his body that would regenerate probably knows something about stem cells and the fact that will regrow organs. So he just happened to take one of the 5 donor sites, a stem cell area, harvesting area, takes that and is able to take out that and come up with a way to regrow not only an organ, but an entire body. The same thing with woman. He didn't just say, okay, there's woman. A lot of people, they think, Christians, they believe in some sort of magical powers of God. Either way, you have a strange coincidence that Moses would have picked the one bone out of 206 that regrows itself?